probably don't even want to be doing this work. That is not why they probably enlisted. They probably enlisted because poverty, because the military gets you to pay for school and all of these other reasons. But deploying them on their own people, their own neighbors, their own community members, that's wrong. And to me, that's disgraceful. That's not serving your country. What I am doing here, standing here for my people, that's service.
Thank you. And so, yeah, you heard again, U.S. veteran being interviewed about rights.
In any public space, you have the right to photograph anything or replace you, including
up here.
and police officers.
It's possible my feed goes down. I want to really be clear that I plan to keep everything up. If I go down, there's just going to be a lot of footage that comes out of this. There's no way there's not going to be. So just be aware.
President.
Oh, yeah, there's an Osprey. This flew by. It's a military vehicle, swivel propellers. So here comes the military. The National Guard now is deployed, I guess. I saw.
Military plane, military chopper coming in hot right now. This is earlier than any scheduled flyovers, so not sure if this is related, but hopefully we will be able to figure that out. Again, got a chopper. I'll check my email right now. We're of course on the sea. Normally another helicopter coming overhead as the National Guard is walking up. They did stop, and it looks like they are moving on again. So we are truly just in the middle of an insane movement. Let me check the internet right now.
Watch this, look at this.
All right, you see police are coming in full force right now, so I will correct myself, police, not National Guard. They are fully equipped right now to deal with currently they are literally marching up to the front lines to take care of this situation. Again, fully outfitted, shields, face masks, and they're headed towards the protesters right now. Camera's gonna get that. We've got the camera. Again, police are headed and trying to get a good read as far as weapons go. I see handguns, batons, and that's about it as far as what they seem to be carrying. Nothing outrageous. They are now forming a line, a barrier protecting the two groups from each other. It looks like they have actually taken place. They have taken the place of the local sheriff's department, and they are pushing forward. Again, they are pushing forward, saying move. They're using peaceful force to push the protesters back. People are mad. Looks like there has been the first physical confrontation that we've seen so far. Again, first physical confrontation that we've seen. 5:08 p.m. We'll keep you updated and let you know if anything changes. We'll be quiet during this because we do need to stay focused and alert. Police do not have weapons drawn, nothing is pulled, they simply have shields. They are lining themselves in a horizontal line, elbow to elbow, marching forward, saying move. The goal at the end of the day here is to open up this road. This road should not have been blocked, that is illegal. People want to get up the mountain. This has been going on for about a little over an hour now. Do you mind if I ask y'all some questions? Your face won't even be on camera. We're just talking. Camera's on that way. So what do you... Cool. You're like the second Hawaiian people I've met today. So what do you think? What's going on right now in your own words?
This is what happens back home in Hawaii. We're protesting stuff that's a couple hundred years old, but it gets mixed in with what's happening today in America, and it ain't. It's the wrong fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're fighting for something 300 years ago. It's not the time.
Yeah, and Hawaii especially, I know there's a lot of heritage when it comes to ancestry, and kind of, like you said, the same thing did happen. So is there a time when you give up and you just give up this fight, or do you think they ever will?
People got to educate themselves as natives. We never had the opportunities before that we have nowadays. So you got to realize that through education that this ain't it. Violence and stuff like this around against the wrong government is not going to get what we need.
Are you scared right now? How do you feel in front of this event?
No. There's an Osprey back there. There's special forces in here. Secret Service. I ain't scared.
Wonderful. And do you have any thoughts on the event that's taking place right now between the police and the protesters?
No, not really. I'm just here for the show.
All right, cool. Enjoy the show. We have what?
That's not even Americans. That's fascists. That's not even Americans.
We have one woman being detained right now. Was she screaming in German?
Yeah, she's screaming in German.
Allegedly, she was not speaking English. I didn't hear. But so far, one, I would say, Caucasian female has been detained.
Thanks so much, Liz. What you're seeing now is armed I don't know if they're military or police. The riot shield said police, armed military in camo, engaging with protesters. One has been arrested. Signs have been stripped from them, and they are now clashing right in front of those white vans. If you're just joining us, I'm Jordan Parker reporting live for Right Side Broadcasting Network from Keystone, South Dakota, just about a mile from Mount Rushmore, where protesters have used 3 white vans to physically block the entrance to Mount Rushmore. What appears to be your armed police or National Guard have now arrived with riot shields, as you can see in the camo and the helmets. They have now moved forward to the area where...
Go to the car.
Yes, yep. They're on top of the vans. They are... Another person has been arrested. Another person has been arrested, as you can see. We're going to maintain safety here. We're going to do our best to ensure our crew is safe, our gear is safe. Again, this situation is unfolding right before our eyes. We don't know where this could go, but now the protesters are clashing with police. People are being arrested. The National Guard or armed police in camo is here.
One white Caucasian-looking woman.
A Caucasian woman and an African-American male have been detained for the Native American protest. Some signs are being taken from them, and they're being walked back down towards Keystone. Police are ensuring that we stay back to maintain our safety and so that law enforcement can do their job. Again, these vans are going to have to be either bulldozed out of here, they're put on a flatbed or a tow truck because the vehicles have been physically disabled, the tires have been slashed, and or removed from the vehicles entirely. The police said they're welcome to go back to their area where they were protesting before, the peaceful protesting area just around this corner here. They had tents set up, but they decided they were going to move beyond that, block the street, and do what they are doing now. Again, RSBN was the first news network on the scene here. We pulled up just as these vans pulled up, saw the tires being slashed, saw the tires being removed, and then about 30 to 45 minutes later is when these armed men and women in camo that you see here arrived. So the situation is continuing to unfold before our eyes as they attempt to remove these ahead of the president's arrival. The president is scheduled to speak in 2 hours and 45 minutes at 8 p.m. local time, 10 p.m. Eastern. Right now it is 5:13 local time, 7:15 on the East Coast. Again, if you're just tuning in, welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Jordan Parker, along with Liz Willis. We are on the ground here in Keystone, South Dakota, between downtown Keystone and Mount Rushmore, where these Native American indigenous protesters are protesting what they say is stolen land. They have a list of demands they've been yelling out, a variety of signs. And again, they're physically blocking access to the park where ticketed attendees were going. More people are coming up here to watch. Obviously, this is a very heated situation, a very new situation that is just unfolding before our eyes in the last hour. The president, again, is slated to give his remarks at 8 p.m. local time, under 3 hours from now. That is why you see armed and uniformed police or National Guard, we're not 100% sure, that have moved in to engage with the protesters and move them out of the way. We've seen 2 people be detained, arrested thus far, an African-American male and a Caucasian woman were taken away in those zip tie sort of handcuff things. We've seen a few signs being taken from their hands. Water bottles have been thrown. There's riot shields, helmets, and the work. So this situation is developing. Right Side is the first and only one live on the scene right now, so keep it right here with Right Side Broadcasting Network as we continue to bring you continuing coverage of the events unfolding here ahead of the President's remarks at the 4th of July celebration and the fireworks that are to come after that. We're being respectful of law enforcement, keeping our distance so they've requested to make sure we don't interfere with their job and they don't interfere with our job as well. More media has arrived. We're the only ones broadcasting live on the scene as of now. Now, if you have been staying up to date with this event, this was a very contentious event. There were lots of reports and outrage from the indigenous community, from the Native American community about this event taking place. But nonetheless, the White House, the President, and the National Park Service, as well as the South Dakota governor, have proceeded with this event. We knew there were going to be protests. There were talks of that now been for weeks, but we did not expect it to divulge into the situation you were seeing now live on camera right in front of us. There has not been, it hasn't been violent per se. It doesn't appear anyone's been injured as of yet, but now, as you can see, these men and women in camo have just advanced here and are starting to engage with the protesters staged in front of these white vans. They did announce a few moments ago that the protesters could return to their peaceful protesting zone just around the corner up there, but that did nothing to move them at all. Again, make sure you're staying up to date with all the updates. You can follow us at RSB Network on Twitter. We're posting videos and images there, as well as at Jordan Parker _ over on Twitter. I'm posting videos and images there, as well as my coworker Liz Willis at Liz Willis _ over on Twitter. There is a small group of Trump supporters surrounded where the press is. They are occasionally yelling at these protesters, but they themselves and this other group of protesters have not physically clashed yet, and police are doing a great job of keeping them apart. Police are now moving us to the side. As they said, they're making way for more people to come through. We're unsure as to what that is, but the amount of law enforcement vehicles continues to amass here at the location of this protest. Unsure as to why there is cheering, but law enforcement is being pushed back in some capacity. Law enforcement's now asking us to move back, so we're going to do that to ensure the safety of our crew and equipment, as we're not out here to be injured, of course. No rubber bullets have been fired, no tear gas has been fired as of yet, like we've seen in protests around the country, but of course if any of that changes, we'll be sure. Again, they're moving back now. Just clear yet. Okay, the protesters are moving. It appears the protesters are moving away from the vans. We're unsure as to what's going on. Did you see what happened?
Gas is coming.
Gas.
What do you think?
Okay.
What's that? Oh,
where's Gage? Gage, come back here. People are smoking things out there. Not sure what it is. Okay, sage. Interesting tactic, but they're using sage now. Again, we've been told there may be tear gas coming. That's unconfirmed, but as soon as that happens, we'll be sure to let you know. But we're not going to end up in a situation where our safety is compromised. Police are now moving us back to ensure our safety. They're bringing enforcements back as well. If anything happens, we're going to move our vehicle, make sure we're safe. Again, if you're just tuning in, Right Side Broadcasting Network, Jordan Parker here on the scene in Keystone, South Dakota, where protesters are physically blocking the entrance to Mount Rushmore ahead of the president's event in just around 3 hours from now. We showed up on the scene right as this happened. These three white vans pulled up. The tires were slashed in some. The other ones were jacked up and removed, so these vans physically cannot be moved on their own two wheels. They're going to have to be either towed out, bulldozed out, put on a flatbed, something, but they will not be moving on their own. That appears National Guard or armed military, or sorry, excuse me, not armed military, armed police in camo with riot shields has also assembled on the other side of these vans. So these, so we're hearing that they may start to tear gas. Obviously don't want to get any of that in our eyes. Come this way. And we're going to do what we can to maintain the safety of our crew here in Keystone, South Dakota. Again, right side showed up right on the scene as this was happening, as these vans pulled up. And these... Okay, Gage, keep coming back here. We're going to keep coming back. Excuse us. Want to make sure that our crew remains safe, not in a compromised situation. Again, we're here on the Ground Right Side Broadcasting Network in Keystone, South Dakota, as these protesters have used 3 vans to block the entrance to Mount Rushmore. They either removed the tires or slashed the tires.
New car location.
Locked it, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a little hectic here. We're doing our best to maintain the safety of our crew while the situation unfolds. It's developing, as you see, live on camera now. So what happens next, thank you, is your and my best guess. More law enforcement continues to show up. We've seen what appear to be National Guard vehicles, 2 medical National Guard vehicles. There are tons of sheriff, tons of law enforcement, ambulance. The works is here. Again, just about a mile from Mount Rushmore is where this is taking place. There has seemed to be a lull in the action. We're unsure what the next move is, but again, a lull in the action here in Keystone. These protesters, if you're just joining us, have removed the tires or slashed the tires on those 3 white vans that you see in the shot right now. So these vans cannot move, cannot be driven under their own power. They cannot be driven out of here. They're going to have to be bulldozed or put on a flatbed, tow truck, something of the sort. But as a physical roadblock for the access road to Mount Rushmore, which is just on the other side of that tree line. You can't see it from here, but I assure you it's there. We've been pushed back by law enforcement, unsure as why, but we assume something is about to happen as they extended the perimeter around where these vans are. Protesters have shuffled locations a little bit. They are no longer right in the faces of law enforcement and vice versa. So we anticipate something happening in the next few moments here. Again, we're doing all we can to make sure our crew is safe, to make sure our equipment is safe, while still bringing coverage of the protests happening right in front of you. More media has slowly started to trickle in, but I assure you, Right Side was the first one on the scene here. We literally pulled up in our vehicles as these vans approached at a high speed. The protesters jumped out. We heard a few large pops, which were the tires being slashed.
The term
Explosion. Yeah, we heard what sounded like an explosion.
Pops don't scare me. That
True.
noise did.
That's fair. Fair assessment. Pops don't scare Liz, she said, but explosions do. It was quite jarring, I have to say. And tires went down. Jacked up the vans. They used drills to remove the lug nuts, took the wheels, took the tires and wheels off the van so they physically cannot move from their locations, and created this physical barrier. Again, just before they showed up, this was the checkpoint where attendees got ticketed or showed their tickets to go into the event, where the president's slated to begin his remarks in just 2.5 hours from now. But right now, attendees have... Are we upwind? Which way is the wind blowing?
Right now.
That way?
But
Okay.
it was blowing the other way. It's going back and
Okay.
forth, but right now it's that way.
It appears they are all reaching into their bags for something. And they all just individually did it. It appears it looks like they almost put something in their mouth. I don't know if some of them just got water, but the masks have been put back on. Officially, they are all just kind of messing with their masks right now. It looks like it doesn't know. I'm not sure with military protocol. It looks like they are getting ready to either go in with tear gas. Sheriffs are asking people to step back again. So based on what you see here right now, what do you think is going to be the next action that the police will take?
I think they're going to pop tear gas if they don't move. You see them blocked in on the backside? They made a line on the backside and they're boxing them in. So
It's hard to see. I'm 5'4".
Once they put on their mask, they're going to pop gas.
That's what I have been watching right now. Looks like they're all securing their masks and kind of getting ready for a battle.
Yeah, when you see sheriff's back up, it's gas time.
When you see the sheriff's back up, that is our turn to also back up. Very true.
Wind changes direction. We got a dip because wind's going that way right now.
Yeah.
Wind
Right,
comes back this
right.
way, that's where we're not getting gas today.
Gauge. Sorry, we are trying to deal with literal split-second decisions right now. I am in charge of a team of 4 other guys that are with me right now. Fortunately, we did have 2 of my friends with us, and they've been great security, keeping me aware of everything that I can't see myself. We've got
All right, Joe Seals here live at the RSBN studio, updating you really quick as our crew is getting into position now for what looks like to be a push from the police and law enforcement here on scene at Mount Rushmore, as the protesters have been blocking the entrance as the Patriots have been lining up to get into President Trump's event tonight at Mount Rushmore. And we were there as it first happens, as it all unfolded. We were right behind these people in line when all of a sudden 3 vans came out of nowhere and they blocked the road. Then they got out and slashed the tires so that they could not be moved. The vehicles could not be moved. We've been here for now a little over an hour covering this, and now the police are getting ready to make a move of some sort, and we are continuing to monitor this as we have been live now for 3 hours total today, and we will be showing you President Trump's speech. If you're tuning in for that, he is scheduled to speak at 10:10 p.m. Eastern time tonight, live from inside the park there at Mount Rushmore, along with the fireworks display. We have cameras across the city and are ready to show you all the action, but we're going to stay here now with what we have now. Now you're looking at the protesters, Native American protesters, upset, as we've been talking about all week, that this event taking place here at Mount Rushmore. So far, we've seen little violence, but things have gotten pretty tense. I think one of the protesters stole a police shield, and so we are currently awaiting the police to make their move. So we're going to go back to Jordan there as we look now to live video coming out of Mount Rushmore here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Joe Sills here with you live at rsbnetwork.com. Appreciate y'all hanging in there with us, staying with us throughout the day. It's been our pleasure to bring you this coverage, and just a sad scene right here as police stand around and Patriots try to get inside. We'll see what happens. Stay tuned to our live coverage. Go ahead.
I am curious if you drink water before you go and gas out somebody.
You always want to be hydrated before you do these kinds of activities.
Have you ever seen this type of activity before?
Not face to face, but I would like to point out it was very interesting. A gentleman that looked like he was not a part of any kind of law enforcement rolled up with a dolly full of water, like packages of water, rolled right up to the police officers, the sheriff, and the National Guard, and screamed, "Does anybody want any water?" And they all turned and started passing out bottles. It was really awesome. It was like, it was just cool that they accepted the fact that a big portion of this crowd, a vast majority of us, are behind them and are willing to support them. And if they are getting dehydrated, because by the way, this is not a very fast event. This is a slow rolling event where they first came in, they assembled. It took a while before they were all assembled. They marched up the street, and then they confronted the protesters head on, and they arrested several of them that literally physically attacked them. And then they backed off, and it was interesting. A lot of the the Trump supporters and the ones that are trying to get through here, the ones that are against the protesters, actually believe that the sheriffs were protecting the protesters when in actuality they were trying to clear us out so that they can physically remove them, in which case we are seeing unfold right now. And the next step at this point will be to send the gas. Not necessarily gas, it's tear gas, I guess is what they call it. And that's what you're about to see here. We are unprotected at this point, so we are going to go ahead and capture this for you so that we can bring this straight to right to your computer, right to your TV screen right now. And it is a slow process, which is why they needed that hydration. It's very methodical. It's like they're going through their standard operating procedure, and now we await for the next step. They did a lot of them donned gas masks, so they will be able to be protected when they launch the tear gas. They're still continuing to try to clear the crowd. It's interesting, what you don't know unless you're here is that the wind is in flux. So you have sometimes the wind is blowing towards us and sometimes it's blowing away from us. Sometimes we're upwind, sometimes we're downwind. And that is definitely disconcerting to us because we might get it just as bad as the protesters. But periodically the wind will go the other direction and then we are in a safe location. But I don't think that that's going to last. I think that eventually we're going to get it pretty bad. Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to hand it back over to Jordan.
Thank you so much. Yes, the situation continues. Do we need that? Go ahead. Oh. I'll hold on to it. Okay. Situation continues to develop here again. Jordan Parker for Right Side Broadcasting Network on the ground here in Keystone, South Dakota, just about a mile from Mount Rushmore. Cameraman Gage Fuller doing an incredible job up on the front line there. Just to his right, you can't see this, but are the National Guard. I did confirm it was the National Guard and sheriff's officers. We're a little bit back here. Our reporters, myself and Liz Willis, are staying just backed, so in case the situation develops, spirals out of control in a dangerous manner, we maintain the integrity and safety of our crew. There is, we have heard rumors tear gas might be deployed. The National Guard have all put on gas masks at this point, moved back a little bit. They have their riot shields up. And so for right now, there is a lull in the action. The wind is blowing away from us, uphill. So if there is tear gas, hopefully it won't come in our faces. But you see a few protesters now starting to make their way toward the National Guard. Again, I did confirm it was the National Guard. Jordan Parker for Right Side Broadcasting Network here on the ground, and here they go. National Guard has put their riot shields up. We're unsure of what is happening next, but our cameraman is as close to the action as you can physically get right now, as we're physically allowed to be. On the ground here, Keystone, South Dakota, as these protesters have blocked the road. If you're just joining us, again, if you're just joining us, you see those three white vans up there, sped in here a little, just under an hour ago. We pulled up as it was happening initially, thought it was security, law enforcement, but no, we heard a few loud, what appeared to be explosions. They were actually the tires being popped on these vans. Of course, they deflated. Then a few of the other vans, they were jacked. Their suspension was jacked up. The tires were removed from the vans, and wheels were removed from the vans. So these vans are physically disabled. They are stationary. They cannot be moved. Being driven under their own power. They're going to have to be put on flatbeds, on tow trucks, bulldozed out of here. I'm not sure. This is the checkpoint where the attendees for tonight's event, where the president will be speaking, were getting their tickets checked to. Mount Rushmore is just over that tree line behind the vans there, just less than a mile from Mount Rushmore, about a half mile up from the town of Keystone, where we are staying. Again, very unexpected turn of events. This is not at all what we were expecting to see today. We had heard there would be protesters, but for the large majority of the day, they've remained around that corner peacefully in an area not blocking traffic. But then just about an hour ago, around 3 p.m., is when they moved in and have physically now blocked the road. The National Guard is here. A large presence of law enforcement is here as well, strategizing to see what to do next. Again, the president is scheduled to give his remarks in about 2.5 hours from now. Again, 2.5 hours from now is when the president is scheduled to begin his remarks here.
90 degrees straight sunshine.
It's also 90 degrees straight sunshine. Liz wants to let us know, but that's the That's some of the perks of the job. Well, I don't know if I'd call them perks. Some of the interesting elements of the job. But yes, as we continue to monitor the situation, we will bring you updates. Interesting twist to the celebrations here at Mount Rushmore. Again, the governor of South Dakota is going to be here. The President of the United States, President Trump, is going to be here. First Lady Melania Trump will also be here, as well as a smattering of other politicians and high-ranking officials, we have been told. But for right now, that is being put on pause. Attendees are not being allowed let in, as they physically cannot get in. Again, Right Side Broadcasting Network, Jordan Parker here, live on the ground, Keystone, South Dakota, if you're just joining us, as the situation continues to develop. What appears to be either military or police helicopter has showed up. It's circling overhead, monitoring the situation. Traffic has been blocked in both directions. It's stopped about 300 yards down the road from behind where our camera is. Law enforcement's holding traffic there, and from there up until now is just a sea of law enforcement vehicles to where we are standing now, right in line with the National Guard, with their riot shields, helmets, gas masks, and all, next to a large amount of deputies, what appears to be sheriff's deputies here in Keystone. Again, protests had been teased for a while. There's been a lot of articles about the controversy over this event. For the majority of the day, they've remained largely peaceful. There's an area just around that corner up there. You can kind of see those white tents through the trees. That is where they've been protesting all day, peacefully, allowing traffic to go through. And then just about an hour ago is when things took a turn south. These vans sped in, blocked the road, which led to the situation we are currently in now. A while ago, about 30 minutes ago, law enforcement, kind of the front line here, was, 25 yards up from where they are now. At one point, they clashed with protesters, got right in each other's faces, but then they moved back about 50 yards to where they are right now, put on these gas masks, their riot shields. Unsure as to what they're doing now, but something is about to go down the way it's looking. Yep, gas masks continue to go on. They're swapping out their regular face mask for these gas masks, putting their helmets on, getting geared up and ready to go for what could be a situation that gets south quickly. Again, if you're joining us on Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Jordan Parker, on the ground in Keystone, South Dakota, monitoring these protests ahead of the president's scheduled remarks. Again, we're not going to speculate anything. We have heard that the wind is in our favor, I'm being told, so if any sort of irritant, any sort of chemical or irritant gas gets deployed, thankfully it's going to blow away from us, as we don't want that in our eyes. But National Guard is, again, putting on face masks, gas masks, in preparation for what I am anticipating will be the deployment of some form of tear gas or other respiratory eye irritant. This is what we've seen across the country, across the nation the past few weeks, everyone, is these violent protests. What start as peaceful demonstrations, peaceful assembly, freedom of speech, quickly divulges, turns south, becomes violent, clashes ensue, and people get hurt. Again, people get hurt from these. This is not something that ends well. We've seen it across the nation in Minneapolis. Buildings got burned, businesses got burned, homes got burned. Across the nation, businesses getting looted, people getting injured, people dying, getting killed at these protests when they go from a peaceful assembly and freedom of speech and divulge into violence. And that is what I'm anticipating we are about to see happen right in front of our eyes, just a mile from Mount Rushmore here in Keystone, South Dakota. If you're just joining us, I'm Jordan Parker for Right Side Broadcasting Network. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for joining us. Again, we were the first ones on the scene here. We pulled up literally as this event started to unfold, as these vans showed up. Right Side was here. We saw the vans pull up. We saw the tires get slashed, heard the explosions, saw the tires get unbolted from the vehicle into the positions they are now. We've maintained live coverage ever since then. We are still the only media network, I believe, continuously live here on the scene, and we will continue to bring you live updates as long as it is safe for our crew. We're not going to risk our safety as we still have to go back and cover the president's speech and the fireworks tonight. But as long as we are safe, we'll continue to bring you coverage of what is going on. Again, RSB Network, make sure you're following us on all of our social media platforms at RSB Network on Instagram and Twitter. Again, that's at RSB Network on Instagram and Twitter. Right Side Broadcasting Network over on Facebook, and if you're watching on YouTube as well, make sure you're subscribed, like our stream. And I know there's been a mass influx of viewers. So thanks to everyone who shared the stream, tweeted it out, shared it, posted it on Facebook, you name it. We want to thank all of you for continuing to tune in to our coverage here. Again, this is not anything of what we expected to do today. We're, planning on interviewing people, talking to attendees, asking them what 4th of July meant to them, and then showing you the president's address and the fireworks here at Mount Rushmore. But things quickly took a turn, as they often do nowadays, and now you see the situation that's unfolding in front of us. Make sure you're following myself on Twitter at @JordanParker_. Again, that's at @JordanParker_ on Twitter, and you're following my colleague who's doing a great job on the ground here with me as well, Liz Willis. That's at @LizWillis_ over on Twitter too. We've been out here for probably over an hour now, watching the situation unfold. Sorry, I can't use more descriptive terms, but we are kind of a holding pattern as these National Guardsmen get geared up to engage with protesters. They're checking each other's gas masks, ensuring they're sealed so they themselves don't get injured. But yeah, the situation I anticipate is about to escalate any moment now. As I mentioned, these vans are going to have to be removed by force, whether it's by tow truck, flatbed, bulldozer, I'm not sure. But they are disabled, their tires have been slashed and or removed, and so they physically cannot be moved. You also see a few protesters there sitting on the ground, a couple of them spray painting on the pavement, it appears, and the majority of the protesters are now on the opposite side of the vans, and I think a few cleared out to the peaceful protest area when the National Guard showed up, as I'm sure many of them don't want to get gassed either. But for the other few who have remained by these vans, they continue to sit there, continue to hold their ground, and square off with the National Guard, just seen to the right of where our cameraman's position is now. But again, gas masks are on, face shields are on, riot shields are up. If I had to guess, the situation is going to escalate very quickly. Again, the wind is at our backs, the wind is going away from us, which is great, because if gas or an irritant or something along those lines is, and here we go, it appears they're about to move in. National Guard, you're seeing this live as it happens. We are on the ground, Right Side Broadcasting Network in Keystone, South Dakota, 5:41 local time. 5:41 local time, 7:41 on the East Coast. These National Guardsmen are assembling here just about a mile from Mount Rushmore, where the president is scheduled to have his remarks broadcast to a 7,500 attendees in just over 2 hours from now. But for now, the situation's been put on pause. This is what we are watching. These National Guardsmen suit up, put masks on, and yeah, our cameraman doing an excellent job up on the front lines here, getting you the best shot possible. Again, we have the best shot in media. We are the first ones here, the only ones who have been live this entire time, bringing you this coverage. We're going to stay as close as we can, which ensures our safety of law enforcement. We want to allow them to do their jobs as well, without any worries of the media around or other spectators. Again, there are a handful of Trump supporters here. They've remained largely peaceful. They did exchange insults and chants a little bit earlier, although they have quieted down, remained peaceful, and have not engaged physically with the protesters, which is good. And it appears here they go. I think here the National Guardsman goes to our right. Their riot shields are up. They're masked and ready to go. And the situation could spiral out of control very quickly here. Again, Right Side Broadcasting Network on the ground here in Keystone, South Dakota. Oh, and we see an armed vehicle, unsure of what it is. Could be National Guard, could be police, could be SWAT, on the opposite side of the protesters. On the other side of those white vans, probably 100 yards from where we're currently standing. But an armed vehicle has shown up on the scene here. Again, the runs are completely shut down, completely locked off. Still 2 hours and 15 minutes to go before the president's remarks are scheduled to begin. He is going to be wheels down in Rapid City in just a few minutes from now, not too long, as this chaos unfolds here in South Dakota on this day before Independence Day. We are going to be live all day tomorrow as well on July 4th, bringing you more coverage from Mount Rushmore, as well as streaming the President's Salute to America event at the White House on the South Lawn, where there will be fireworks, flyovers, and he will address the nation as well from the South Lawn tomorrow. On Independence Day itself, we will be broadcasting that live, bringing you complete coverage of that event, if it happens, and of course, complete coverage of tonight's event with the President, fireworks, flyovers as well, if that still continues. I assume the President has every intention of making his remarks and addressing the crowd here that has formed, the attendees, but of course, if the situation gets violent and it becomes unsafe for the President or for the attendees, I can only assume that Secret Service will at some point call it off. However, that call has not been made as of yet. Sorry, cell service is also spotty up here. We are literally in the middle of the Black Hills in South Dakota. President was wheels up from Joint Base Andrews a little over 2 hours ago, I believe. About 2 hours ago, the President was wheels up from Joint Base Andrews. I've been told it is a 3-hour and 25-minute flight to Rapid City, where he will then get on Marine One and the procession of helicopters and make his way here to Mount Rushmore again. So that's about an hour, a little over an hour until the President is wheels down here in South Dakota. But until then, for the next hour, we're going to bring you coverage as long as our equipment allows, as long as our safety is maintained, and as long as the situation continues. We'll be here monitoring, here streaming, here showing you things as they happen live, on air, uninterrupted, uncut. We're not going to commercial break, don't worry. But yes, Keystone South Dakota, Right Side Broadcasting Network, Jordan Parker here on the ground, covering these protesters that have now physically blocked the road, physically blocked the entrance to Mount Rushmore and the park that is up there. National Guard are in riot shields. They are in gas masks. Up to just to the right of the cameraman, we anticipate that gas may be deployed or some sort of irritant. And okay, here comes tow trucks. As I mentioned, tow trucks or flatbeds are going to be needed to move these vans, as they've been disabled. Their tires have been slashed or taken off, and that is what we see now. 2 or 3 flatbeds are making their way up here to load up these vans, to haul them out and reopen the road as soon as possible. We're going to move off to the side now, let these flatbeds make their way up here. So again, I said they're going to have to be physically removed from the situation, and that is what is about to take place. I have a feeling these flatbed drivers, this is not what they anticipated when they came into work today. Don't think they were guessing they were going to be towing protesters' vans, blocking off the road just a mile from Mount Rushmore. But nonetheless, here they are, ready to go, ready to open up this road back up so this event can continue. Earlier, the police issued a few announcements to the protesters saying this was an unlawful assembly. They needed to move or be arrested. After police and National Guard clashed with the protesters, 2 were arrested. A African-American male and a Caucasian female were detained and walked out. I haven't seen anyone else be detained as of yet, although there could very well be people detained on the other side. The wind is still at our backs, blowing upwind from us. So if there is irritants or gas deployed, hopefully they will not hit us. But again, we're going to stay here as long as safety allows, as long as law enforcement allows, bringing you this coverage live from South Dakota. Appears National Guard may be about ready to move. They got riot shields. They're spreading out along this line right next to where our cameraman is. They're in gas masks. Some of them have batons with them, making sure they're sealed up, ready to go. And they're able to do their job safely as well and don't get harmed. A few of them are putting their gas masks away, so they may not be deploying tear gas anymore. But of course, we're watching this live right along with you. What you're seeing is what we are seeing in real time. So I have no further updates for you other than what you are seeing right now on your screen. One vehicle of protesters is leaving. All is quiet here. No shouts, no protests. It is silent, except for the few spectators meandering around, observing what's going on as National Guard and law enforcement kind of calculate their next move.
Park down more. Okay? You tell it.
Again, protesters lining up here, Keystone, South Dakota, Right Side Broadcast Network. I'm Jordan Parker on the ground reporting live on these protests that are happening before our very eyes. Right Side was the first and only media company that has been here since the beginning. We literally pulled up, tires removed, and have been broadcasting the events live ever since that began. It's about an hour into this event. The National Guard's now here, sheriffs are here, sheriff's deputies are here. And this road continues to be blocked just over 2 hours from the president's slated remarks time.
YouTube is the #1 site for millions of creators online.
They have their riot shields. It's unclear as to what their next move is, but of course, as soon as we see it, we'll be sure to let you know. And what you are seeing on camera right now is live here in Keystone, South Dakota. It is 5:50 local time, 7:50 on the East Coast. And it looks like National Guard, again, we've had a few times where we think they're making an advance and they hold off for a second. But it looks like this may be the time when they push.
If you are just tuning in, I'm Joe Seals here at the RSPN studio. We're looking live outside of Mount Rushmore as protesters have blocked the entrance to President Trump's event tonight. Back to Jordan.
They're telling us a lot of unknowns here. They're watching the situation unfold just as you are on camera. You have a front row seat to this protest. Unsure as what is about to happen. They're doing a great job of keeping us safe, keeping us back, making sure we're protected, they're protected, so they can protect protect everyone watching, make sure safety is of the utmost importance. But again, situation continues to evolve here. Been about an hour ongoing. This road has been shut down. Attendees are being barred from entering the event. 7,500 people were ticketed out of 125,000 ticket requests. Where those vans are is right about where the ticket checkpoint was to make their way up to the venue where the fireworks, the president's remarks will take place. In the car.
Can you get it for him? I'll hold down the board.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it off to Liz Willis. We're going to make sure our cameraman, he's up on the front lines, make sure he's safe, hydrated. We're going to grab him some water. Liz, take it away.
Hey. Okay, thanks everyone again. We are taking care of the cameraman right now. He's on the front lines. We are a good distance back. He's thirsty, as he should be. He's been standing in the straight sun capturing this we're going on 2 hours now, roughly. So it's a lot of mask on, mask off when it comes to the National Guard. I don't think anybody wants a physical confrontation. There have been ample opportunity for the protesters to disperse. They clearly have no intention of doing so. Sheriff Department has done a great job just keeping everyone separated. And I would say National Guard has done a good job as well to just be patient and wait until absolutely necessary to attempt at clearing the road so the 4th of July festivities here at Mount Rushmore can go on as planned. I do see a few eye masks going back on, different Guard members. Again, I don't know the heat index, it's 90 degrees right now, straight sunshine, high altitude. It is a hot day, so I can't imagine being in the full riot gear masks that they have on.
What exactly should I follow up with? I know that,
Again, we're Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're here to bring you
we're really close. But,
all things President Trump, so thank you for tuning in. And we are here. There is a clash between protesters right now who have blocked the road. We are waiting to see if the road will clear. There is a lot of traffic for those who were planning to attend the 4th of July celebration at Mount Rushmore, where President Trump is scheduled to speak at 8 p.m. Melania Trump will also be with him. So it should be an exciting day. Hopefully everything clears out as peaceful as possible. Almost 6 o'clock here in Keystone, South Dakota. Some tow trucks have arrived on the scene, hopefully to remove these vehicles. We're hearing loud chants from the other side. It's hard to see exactly what's going on over there. The 3 large white vans block the view. But again, on our side of the things, we are actually downhill. It was already open, but I waterfalled them.
Okay, this is the only one I can get in the gate.
Yeah. Sorry, you guys. We're totally live, and we have 1 water bottle. So that's what that conversation was. Carrie, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more? For those of you who are wondering, actually got a lot of tweets about when you spoke.
Yeah.
So they were wondering who that guy was.
Yeah.
So if you want to reintroduce yourself,
Sure.
And why you know so much about military lingo.
I'm Kerry Smith. I'm a former Marine Corps aircraft mechanic, and so I can kind of speak to at least some of the maneuvers that they're doing. At least I can kind of decipher it for you guys. I was not in National Guard or law enforcement, so there's a lot of gap there that I'm sure a lot of you guys that are in that can fill in for yourselves. But there's a process going on. I got done talking to one of the sheriffs that are doing the security on my half of the street, and he informed us that we're just going through the process. This process is something that's always in flux because of the drama that's happening in our nation right now. And so right now, what they have been doing from the very start of this protest has been by the book, and they're just going through the process. Right now, you see the National Guard coming back across the street again, forming a line. Not sure if they're going to escalate this, but at some point, this road has to be cleared. Whatever it is that they are going to do to clear it, they have to do, because this is the main artery. And if I don't know if you had gotten a chance to see behind the line, but there are some emergency response. We have some Hummers, the military emergency response, a bunch of sheriff vehicles, and we have 2 wreckers coming up the street. They're just civilian wreckers. They're going to move, we're presumably going to remove these vehicles that have been disabled across the roadway here. But of course, since they are just civilian wreckers, they're going to have to be kept safe before they go up there and do that. And in order to do that, we're going to have to remove some of these protesters who may possibly want to escalate if we try to clear this. So right now you see the National Guard is going forward. We're being told right now to stay back for your safety, and you can imagine why. There's going to be a physical confrontation here for sure. I doubt that they're going to back off much. And hopefully for our sake, they don't have to deploy tear gas. You can imagine what that's going to mean for us, because it does get everywhere. We are kind of in a confined area here with hills on both sides. So we will get it if that happens. But right now, no tear gas being deployed yet, and they are making their way up the street, as you can see. And they have stopped, probably about 30 feet short of the blockade of vans. We will see what happens here. We hope that this does end peacefully. I hope that they can feel that their voice has been heard and they can go home and let us through, let the people that are wanting to understanding. I haven't gotten this confirmed yet, but this is also the main throughway for the VIPs who will go to the actual Trump event. In that case, it's going to have to be cleared. There's no doubt about that. You can see they've slowed up, but they're still advancing. They're getting very close at this point. And there's been contact. Contact has occurred. You can hear the protesters slamming up against the clear plastic shields. What we saw earlier when they actually did this earlier, and when they did this, you could see right now they're arresting somebody. So what will happen is they'll make contact and a person may fall through or be pulled through to be arrested. And I'm assuming that they're picking the most violent ones to be pulled through to be arrested. It's kind of a divide and conquer technique that we're seeing here. And it is a slow process because I can't get a read on how many people are behind those vans. But at this rate, it would be pretty slow. But hopefully at some point, it's the safest way to get this done, because you don't want anybody seriously injured. One at a time like this, probably the least amount of injuries, especially to the law enforcement that has to perform this task. And you can see definitely some scuffling up front as they do this. They're very close to the vehicles right now. They're going to have to get past those vehicles in order to bring the wreckers in to get them out of here. And somebody has climbed up on top of the vehicle. And they are stopped just short of the blockade of vans. You'll see coming down the street towards us right now is somebody that they detain. They have the zip tie handcuffs on them and walking them back. At this point, this is Kerry Smith. I'm going to sign it off to Jordan as they continue to clash on the front lines.
Thank you, Kerry. I think you're the best new addition to the right side team. Parker on the ground here for right side broadcast.
Joe Seals back here at the RSPN studio. We are awaiting a little bit better audio. Our reporters are inside the car for their own safety, as our cameraman is now closer to the action there. So with our wireless microphone, the range, we're trying to work that out now as we speak. I think we got them back. Fuck you, bitch! Yeah! Go! 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 Yeah, you bitch! Yeah! Go! Go! Good? Tony! Good. Move off road. Right side, take one step forward. So the police are going to try to form a police line in front of these vans. They're going to try to solidify it and then we get rid of the van. So that's what I think is going on right now. They're coming in on my left. This is treaty line. Look up. Hold on. Thanks for joining me here. My name is Lorenzo Sona. I am your host. I'm under the camera. Thanks everybody for the Indian Collective. I'm hosting the feed right now for them. And we're here live just minutes away from Mount Rushmore. Little folks have said that people are trespassing. They're not invited today. And they want the land back. They've been holding this line for a bit. But we're trying to disperse them. So far, we're just creating police lines and pushing them off. People have been trying to hold their space. Definitely pepper spray has been released. A few people have been arrested.
This is my city, man. Respect that you're going to be paying one day. One day soon, you're going to
If we move these vehicles, 12 people go up to the for freedom of expression. You know what's right now? Just let
Give a liaison from the National Park Service, which has authority here, gentlemen. Yes, 18th County's got roads, technically, but the National Park Service can make negotiations, and they've made it known. And some of the organizers have agreed to allow a certain contingent to go because this is a moot point. This road's already closed so long as National Park Service upholds their side of the agreement. Check with Reed, the liaison. Please do. Please do.
So you're saying the Parks Department...
Okay, we're back here at the studio. We're working on getting Jordan Parker back, who's been doing such a great job there for us on the scene, along with Liz Willis. We're looking now at the police who have pushed back the protesters now, and so far it has remained peaceful. No tear gas or anything like that has been deployed. We're working on getting Jordan back online. He should be here in just a second. As a reminder, RSBN has
we
been
found
here all day.
Sprizzy
We will continue
through
to
a Google.
bring you live coverage all day of this event from Mount Rushmore. The protesters rushed in and right in front of our vehicle as we were trying to get through security and blocked off the entire road leading into the Mount Rushmore where the event tonight will take place. President Trump's scheduled to speak at 10:10 p.m. Eastern time. And so now we're going to go back live to Jordan. I think we've got audio.
All right, well, let me change the mic back over.
Continues to move in. Wreckers have arrived to physically tow these vans out of here. And it smells like marijuana. And Trump supporters and protesters are now engaging in dialogue. It's remaining peaceful. Tones are raised, but there's not any physical altercation as of yet. Other than that, it's very, very quiet here. The scene is quiet. Not a lot of chanting, not a lot of yelling. It remains mostly quiet. Off to my left, there are a large group of armed groups as well. Tell me if you can't hear me. We're back here in Keystone, South Dakota, live on the ground. Jordan Parker for Right Side Broadcasting Network. We just did a quick battery swap to make sure that our mic can continue to broadcast here. So we're on the ground here in Keystone, South Dakota, where these protesters are now finally being broken up. The wreckers are moving in. The wreckers are on the way. They have cleared the area where the vans are that, again, were disabled. Their tires were either removed or slashed. Awesome job to our cameraman, Gage Fuller, who is in the action up there with the protesters. The wreckers have arrived to move these vans, to reopen up the roads. National Guard, police working hand in hand to disband these protesters and reopen the road, reopen and reopen the road up to Mount Rushmore. There's some very heated people here, some very emotional, some very intense people screaming, shouting. There's some people saging us, it appears, getting a large whiff of sage or something else, don't really know. But yes, they're saging the protesters, they're saging the observers, saging the police. And right now, if we can get a shot of it, the wreckers are about to clear out these vans. They're lowering the beds. I don't think this is what these tow truck drivers had in mind today when they came to work, but nonetheless, this is what we're doing.
How much is Toro paying for today?
Trump supporters exchanging words with indigenous protesters here, those protesting the sacred land on the ground. Mix of protesters. There's all races, genders here. Large group of people. At one point, there's probably 200. A large majority of them have seemed to have left and departed. We're unsure where they went, but I have to assume that the majority of them didn't want to get caught up in any violence or get injured. But there's a few dozen still on here, or still down here, holding their ground, trying to do what they can to hold their ground here. Again, these wreckers are now moving out these vans. Law enforcement are attempting to jack them up, try and put the wheels back on so they can drag these things out of here, reopen up the road in anticipation of the president's arrival. Again, this is quite an interesting situation. We were on the ground here about an hour ago, a little over an hour ago when this first unfolded. We've been on the ground live broadcasting ever since. Everything you have seen is what we're seeing in real time. It's now 6:10 on the ground here, 8:10 on the East Coast. The president slated to begin his remarks in less than 2 hours as this protest continues to unfold, although law enforcement and National Guard has now moved in. The wreckers are now starting the process of removing these vans so they can open up the roads and allow the rest of the attendees back in. Cameraman Gage doing an awesome job. Also, my fellow correspondent Liz Willis on the ground here as well. I'm Jordan Parker for Right Side Broadcasting Network. If you're just tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. Again, this protest happening just about a mile from Mount Rushmore near Keystone, South Dakota, just before the president is going to deliver remarks at a 4th of July celebration and fireworks here at the base of the mountain. Again, things remaining largely peaceful. The crowd is very quiet, not much yelling or chanting going on, but just a lot of observing, a lot of silent protest of the situation here in Keystone. Terry, you want to provide our viewers a little more insight as to what you're seeing?
Yeah, you have the camera on the one side. On the other side of these vehicles that were used to barricade the road, they do have the wreckers on the ground now. They're releasing the chains, and they are about to hook these disabled vehicles up. And when I mean disabled, they completely removed the wheels on the back, or one wheel at least, and dropped the entire brake rotor on the pavement. So this thing isn't designed to be able to be moved easily, but they're going to drag this thing right up onto the wrecker, it looks like, and then get these out of the way so that the rest of the vehicles that need to come through here can get through here. You've probably seen it better on your video, but from where I'm standing, it seems like the number of protesters has reduced from what we saw earlier, which is a good sign, something we can finally de-escalate this thing peacefully and move on with the festivities tonight. So as they're dragging this vehicle into the wrecker, you can see the brake rotor is just digging into the pavement. So they actually dropped the vehicle. They jacked it up. They had an impact wrench on them. And they removed the whole entire wheel so that they couldn't move this. Obviously, they're going to be able to drag it up. It's just going to put a gouge in the pavement, and hopefully we can finally get this out of here. I'm glad to see that the protesters have remained pretty peaceful at this point. I mean, they're obviously blocking the road, which is not good, something we don't want to see, so that people can't exercise their right to peaceably assemble in the festivities this evening. But other than that, it seems like after that contact with the National Guard and getting past these disabled vehicles, everybody's calmed down. I'm very glad to see that they didn't have to deploy any kind of chemical, CS gas or anything like that, because that would have been bad for everybody, including the innocent bystanders. And here they go up they're dragging the jack. So they left the jack underneath the truck, but they took the bar. So the sheriff actually initially tried to see if they could jack it up and reattach the wheel, but they took the jack bar with them, so that the protesters did, the ones that removed the wheel, so they couldn't just jack this thing back up and reassemble it. And everybody is just holding fast right now, which is good. They're allowing them to put these vehicles back up onto the wrecker, which is going to clear this blockade and presumably allow vehicles through. But we still have the protesters still. We will see where they go from here. The entire width of this protest appears to be less than 100 yards, maybe 100 feet more like. And I see National Guard forming lines on both sides with the protesters in the middle. And they're actually, there's quite a bit of distance between them. So just estimating the total numbers, you're probably looking at maybe 100 to 200 at best. So earlier I was worried it was much, much more, which of course this thing could go on for many hours just trying to dissipate that crowd. So it is very good news for that. It looks like we are going to get these festivities going. So right now we have some sheriffs getting ready to remove the protesters, and I see it looks like some possible crowd disbursement weapons, either beanbags or the rubber bullets. So we do have at least one sheriff holding on to a shotgun here, which would probably be either beanbag or rubber bullet. We certainly hope that doesn't have to be deployed. But we will definitely report on whatever happens at this point. And they're still standing across the road, but we are able to get rid of these vehicles. They're holding up some sort of a banner or tarp or something about 6 feet behind the police line. And they still have some signs being held up with, one of them is Black Lives Matter. Earlier I was talking to a man who said he is a Native American. He seemed to be more on the fence when it comes to which side of the protest that he would be on. But he pointed out that he believes that some of these other protesters who are protesting for different reasons may actually just be escalating this for their own purposes. So he pointed out that some of the people that were arrested who made contact with the National Guard were not Native, which is kind of interesting. It seems like you may have certain people that may be escalating while other people are peacefully protesting. And we've seen that in cities across the nation. Protesters who may want to be peaceful. There are peaceful protesters in there, and then you have others in there who we don't know what they're doing, but they certainly seem to be escalating, and it almost seems to be intentional. That was the sentiment that I was hearing from some of the bystanders as we watched this unfold. Now I'm going to hand this back off to Jordan. Kerry Smith for Right Side Broadcasting.
Thanks so much, Kerry. We actually just met Kerry this morning out of coincidence. Of course, none of us were anticipating any of this happening, but Kerry has just been a fantastic and much welcome addition to this team, especially since this is a lot to handle for just our small crew we have here. Jordan Parker on the ground for Right Side Broadcasting Network here in Keystone, South Dakota. As you can see to the right, this van is getting loaded up onto this wrecker, this flatbed here. The back right tire is gone, so it's just being drug up there as best it can. Why these few dozen protesters remain face to face with the National Guard, with armed police, Sheriff's Department, you name it. Law enforcement is here on the ground here in Keystone, South Dakota. Again, this is just about a mile from Mount Rushmore, where the president is going to be speaking in less than 2 hours. So a very dramatic, chaotic situation here ahead of his arrival. Continuing to bring you updates for Right Side Broadcasting Network. Make sure you're tuned in with all of our social medias at RSB Network on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter and Instagram at RSB Network, Right Side Broadcasting Network on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed, following us there for a variety of updates. I'm on Twitter at Jordan Parker _, again at Jordan Parker _ on Twitter. Kerry Smith is on Twitter at Smith Radio, SMYTH Radio. Make sure to follow him for continuing updates as well. Again, none of us expected the situation. Secret Service. Somebody with the White House or Secret Service is now on the scene. They are in plain clothes, but they are now here evaluating the situation as well. Obviously, they are here because the president is going to be here. So they are working in tandem with the National Guard, working in tandem with the Sheriff's Department, the police, armed police as well. There are some with long guns off to our left here, but you can also shout out to our cameraman Gabe, who continues to do an incredible job bringing you the closest footage possible. We're the only network here continuously live. We've been live since this event started. We're continuing to go live, completely uninterrupted, no commercial breaks. What you are seeing live right now is exactly what's happening in real time. It is 6:19 on the ground. 6:19 on the ground as well. Local time 8:19. Sorry, yes, 8:19 Eastern time. Sorry, been a long day here. Lots going on. Didn't expect any of this, but here we are. For right now, I'm just going to give you a live look at what's going on. You're looking live at these protesters. Keystone, South Dakota. I'm Jordan Parker with Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're going to continue to show you the scenes, broadcast them live. We'll be right back with commentating in just a moment.
Share this land. Who signs up for the military? It's not Trump.
Just like every agreement and promise you ever made against Indian people, and we're reasonable. Fuck, we're parents. We're pillars of this community.
Sure.
We fucking fight for better education. We improve quality of life for our people.
Right.
And we're real. We'll have a negotiation.
Right.
We're prepared to be here all night if we need to. But here we go. And that is a fucking microaggression, standing right here, talking to us while you're doing that.
So that's,
while you're trying to negotiate that.
Right. So I just want to be clear. That's Pennington County.
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. You guys represent the white man. You guys represent the military-industrial complex, and that's what's going on here. I don't care what badge you have. You represent the United States government. Illegal seizure of our land. That's who you represent. The National Park Service. You're part of the system. You are the man. U.S. Park, National Guard, police, sheriff, highway patrol. It's all the same. It's all just different names for a militarized system that's coming against black, indigenous, and people of color in this country. And that's what this shit is about.
There's not one person of color out there in that line. Oh, there's a couple.
I'm serious. We actually are trying to negotiate, but there ain't nobody over there. You guys, we went over there to our people.
Sure.
And went up to them. We're poor.
Right.
Hey, brothers and sisters, we're negotiating. Our people, what they do? Stand back. How come you guys can't go over there and talk to them people? We're human beings here.
I'm here with you. I'm trying to talk to you.
Well, how come you're not talking to the wreckers?
Because they're not.
Why don't you show some leadership? That's what I'm talking about. It takes leadership. That's what I'm saying.
I understand, and I went back to
You know how hard it is to go in front of your own people and say, I'm going to negotiate? That shit takes courage and leadership, and that's what we need to see from you guys.
And I did. I went up to the sheriff of Pennington County and asked him to negotiate.
This is a county show. They're not going to listen to me. They're not listening. They're not going to do it. They said they're done negotiating. They're making comments that I have not seen or am aware of. So the National Park Service,
they just put you in a bad spot is what they're doing too. Making you look like you're negotiating. Making it look like you're negotiating, meanwhile they already got a preconceived decision of what they're doing. That's what they got. That's what happens when you work for the man. They do that shit to you. So we ain't going nowhere. Got it. This is our land. It's been our land for thousands of years. It'll be, but one thing I will say this though. One point of negotiation. Now that that's clear, we ain't moving, and you guys are pushing forward. You give us 30 minutes. 30 minutes Well, actually, who am I negotiating with now that not, you should get Penny County over here. What I'm saying is give us 30 minutes to talk to our children and our elders, because not everybody is going to stay. And so we want to get out our women, our children, our elders, anybody who is diabetic, anybody who's sick.
Okay.
And
Who do you need, Sheriff Plum?
and then we'll address. But during that period of time,
Is he still up there?
during that period of time, you can't have aggression.
All we can do
So
is Reed and I can go back and
so they're not listening to you and you're not listening to me. That's why somebody from up there needs to get down.
I want to say, I'm going to tell them that we got a health public safety issue, and we need to get young people and elders off the road. We need 30 minutes to do it.
Yep.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you for talking.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, so what happened here, like what always tries to happen, they were aggressive. We held our ground. They pushed us, they were pushing us past
So someone just tried to negotiate with the Park Service to see if there could be some agreements about the tactics the National Guard are using, and whether the vans could be left in place and not seized. Also, if there could be time for elders and children to leave the scene if they want to or need to. So it seems like that they might give they might give 30 minutes for that to happen.
Probably see the gap between the protesters and the sheriffs. Oh, I see your cameraman now. He's right in the middle. So you guys have the front row seat. RSBN was right on the very front of the line when this whole protest popped off. It just happened right in front of us. We went from a police checkpoint with an open road to completely barricaded and everybody assembling across the road within seconds right in front of us. We were the very front car when it all happened. We happened to be going live at that time. If you get a chance to rewatch this broadcast, you will be able to see this all unfold real time. So it'll be interesting. It'll be a very interesting piece of history, this video. You're watching it unfold right now, and we're just standing by hoping that it ends peacefully. One thing I can tell you just by looking across some of the signs that they're holding up, earlier it seemed like there was more of a mix of agitators that were maybe not a part of these particular protesters. They may have been with Black Lives Matters or Antifa. These protesters are clearly advocating for Native American causes. They're talking about, one sign says no freedom. Oh, there's a fight breaking out right in front of me, and somebody got tackled by National Guard. A lot of people are screaming in front of me, but Okay, they found the perpetrator. They found the perpetrator, and they're arresting her now. Okay, a couple people disagreeing right here. The National Guard definitely stopped this right in its tracks. They tackled the woman who started this. They tackled the person who was the perpetrator. A lot of people were pointing their fingers at the person who they say started this, so they went ahead and arrested her immediately. There was another gentleman who looked like they were about to arrest, but they let him go. It looked like he was just trying to break the whole thing up. And I see a second person arrested. Okay, so there's a man who we saw earlier supporting Trump, and then a woman who actually earlier we saw supporting the protest, but actually I've been told by some of the Native Americans here that she is not a member of their protest. So an agitator here and a Trump supporter that we saw earlier. If you saw earlier in our broadcast, there was a gentleman that was running after somebody who was actually arrested and waving a sign at them. That's the person that's being arrested right now. But also the a woman who was with the protest. So there's. So, who saw it? What did you see?
That girl went up to him, took the sign down, ripped it down, threw water in his face, pushed him, and then hit him in the face. He never touched her.
Okay, so the gentleman, the Trump supporter with the sign, he's the one that you saw on our broadcast earlier, had his sign ripped from him, and then water splashed in his face.
On him, and then she pushed him, and then she punched him in the face. I watched the whole thing.
Okay, so that you heard it from an eyewitness there. What happened here? And I saw the woman get thrown to the ground.
He got thrown down to the ground first because they thought that the man instigated with her, but it was the woman.
I see that.
The guy went up to her, and he had a sign. She didn't like it, so she pulled it down. The other one came in. They shoved him. Then the National Guard took him down, and then the girl was still trying to either kick him or continue, and we got upset that they took down a guy who got pushed, so then the military took the girl down as well.
Okay.
He didn't assault her.
Okay. She assaulted him.
She pushed me first.
Oh, you were involved?
Yeah, she pushed me, and then I kind of just I didn't react, and then he kind of stepped in front with the sign, and then one girl ripped the sign down, and the other one kind of hit him in right here. And then he tripped backwards down and then the military tackled him.
Okay. Yeah, I as soon as I looked over, I saw the woman getting tackled. I didn't even see him in the grass. So yeah,
she was trying to
gotcha.
After she hit him, she was trying to sneak out, and then they grabbed her.
Okay, so you guys heard it from eyewitnesses that saw it from the beginning. It seems like there's definitely some people in this crowd who are trying to instigate violence and escalate things. We have people getting in each other's faces. Now we have a police line that they're putting up through the woods here, and that is because we had a little scuffle here. Probably some people will be taken in and possibly charged.
I think that there's some natives that are trying to prove a point, and they're very passionate. But there's at least 10 of them that they look like they're hired. They have a different objective, and 2 of them got arrested already, and there's about 4 or 5 of them that when they were moving the vans and when they took out that barricade, they wanted to cause a commotion, but peacefully the natives moved back. But there was about 5 or 6 of them that wanted chaos, and the natives were no, let's back out, and they took the vans, and now they're not feeling protected. So
yeah, and I'll tell you what, that is the sentiment that I've seen, and a bunch of other witnesses throughout this protest from the beginning have repeated those same observations, which is very critical.
I think they already told them they're going to let them go back there.
They're going to let them go back there?
They're reasonable with them.
Okay, I'm going to go check this out. I'm going to walk around the other side of this vehicle. Yes.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, okay.
Are you still alive?
I'm still alive.
All right, we're still alive. We now have a police line here across the whole road. So. We have people chanting, "Let him go." Did not see where the woman went that was arrested, but she was brought out first for sure. And you heard from the eyewitnesses what they saw, and we have seen that same thing play out here for the past couple of hours. It definitely seems like there are some faction of.
So we got to go.
Oh, okay. We got to go now.
Yeah, we're taking off.
Okay. All right, I'm going to hand this over to Jordan for a sign-off.
Let me know when you're ready. Jordan Parker again for Right Side Broadcasting Network here on the ground in Keystone, South Dakota, where the protests, the situation is slowly starting to wrap up behind me. As you saw just a moment ago, the 3 vans blocking the road here have now been loaded, are being cleared. The National Guard is still holding the front line up there across from the protesters. A few dozen protesters remain. A few more have moved in once the vans have gone, but it appears that these law enforcement officials and the various agencies with them will be moving them out as fast as they can to open up the road and allow the remaining attendees in. Excuse me, I'm out of breath. I just ran up this hill. As you may have seen, Air Force One just flew over. The president is just moments away from touching down here in Rapid City. He's going to touch down in Rapid City and then take Marine One over here to the Mt Rushmore landing zone. But the president did 2 flyovers of the situation in addition to Mt Rushmore, which is just about a mile behind me on the other side of that tree line there. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, this is not the coverage we expected today, but nonetheless, it's what happened and what we divulged into, or descended into. So behind us, protesters, we're going to sign off for now. We're going to be back on the air with you a little bit later with continuing coverage again for Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Jordan Parker. Thanks so much for joining us.
Want to get arrested. Anybody that's sick, any of the women or the children or the warriors, anybody that doesn't want to be arrested, that we have 30 minutes to disperse. All right, let's just put it this way. We're not dispersing. We're protecting our people. And so, and I know that there's people here that went to each one of us and said, I'm willing to stay no matter what. There was also people who say, I can't make that vow. So we're honoring that commitment. So we're giving, if you're not willing to be arrested, then we have probably now about 25 minutes to get out. If your car is over there, you can get out. You just have to let them know that one lane is going to open up right here. And that's how folks are going to get out. Lena Ayuk Chapot, you understand? So it's time. This is some of those moments that we have as Lakota people. It's like those commitments we make at the Wiwangwachi. Sometimes we make decisions right in the moment. So each and every one of you has something to think about. It doesn't make you any less of a warrior if you leave. It doesn't make you any more warrior if you stay. Because we're all warriors. Every single one of us. Think about the decision that's before you. Because what's going to happen at that 30-minute mark, we're going to hold our ground here. And they're gonna try to remove us from our land, and we're gonna do every single thing in our power to protect our land and to stay here. We have held this for 3 hours, relatives. We've stopped the traffic going up to Mount Rushmore. So this is the decisions before us that we have. For those that are being arrested, Andrew Bentley with Indian Collective, come on up here. Is he here? All right. I do have a little good news. If you get arrested, we got you. If you get arrested, we made arrangements to take care of our people. What's going to likely happen if you get arrested is that it'll take you, if you don't have any warrants, you're likely going to do a book and release. So I know about 75% of us probably won't get book and release. But if you have, and take this into consideration, if you have warrants, they're probably going to keep you until Monday, because there's no afternoon court and there is no weekend court. So I'm going to give you a number. I don't know. We need to, we have some markers here. So if you're going to be arrested, Andrew Bentley, come up here and raise your hand here. This is one of our relatives. He's a Lumbee relative. Thank you. He's been here. He's been here amongst the Lakota for many years. And I trust him with all my heart. He's my brother. What's going to happen here is he's going to share his phone number, and that phone number specifically is going to be used. And once you get arrested, you call that number, and he's going to arrange for you to get out. It'll happen either tonight, tomorrow, or Monday. So I'm going to share this number at this time. Actually, let's do this. There's too much live reels. If you're getting arrested, if you're planning to get arrested, come on over and see Andrew Bentley. Does everybody understand? I want to say that today has been a proud day to be Lakota. Today has been a proud day. We shut down Mt Rushmore. We put this place on lockdown for 3 hours. And we did it in a good way. We felt that power from our ancestors. So Wopila Tonka Achichi Apolo to each and every one of you. Hecha Tuolo.
I just like everything else.
How are we doing on time? What's up?
Our live
Yes. Hold on a second.
Our live people are asking where they can donate money for moms.
Hold on.
Nick, what's the website?
Testing, 1, 2. Can you guys hear me out there? Okay, one quick thing. We have established a bail fund for our relatives. We stayed up in blindness. We developed a website. I believe it's live now.
Sorry about that, guys.
The website, this is for everybody who's live streaming. The website is bhlegalfund.org. So all of the relatives who are listening out there, they can donate to that. They can donate to that now, and those contributions will go to get us out for those of us that are going to stay here. It's Black Hills Legal Defense Fund, our Bail and Legal Defense Fund. The website is bhlegalfund.org. We just made it live within the last couple hours. We need markers over here so people can write the phone numbers on their arms, please. Sharpies. And the number. Yeah, I don't want to. Your wife would be mad at me if I gave your number out to the million. What's that? bhlegalfund.org, yeah.
What's the number?
The phone number?
That's okay. I would rather it stay here.
You'll have to leave Way up until the last stop. If anybody needs the phone number, please come over.
Mr. Cousin, what's the bail website?
It's bhlegalfund.org.
BH. Yeah, really go like this. Thank you.
Is it working? It's not.
Is that an 8?
617 0864.
I sweat the other one way off.
Gold, do you want as many people as possible?
So the road is mostly clear now.
Yeah, they're National Guard.
There's still one van in the road, but it's off to the side. Folks are putting gas masks on now since the vans have moved. Now they're going to officially again try to remove everyone that's here and then let the Trump supporters through to go see Trump. I think they are gonna let there be time, like they'll probably do at least one more dispersal order, and like if folks do want to leave, I think they can, but the thing is, it's like, okay, so now you left, but now you're in a town full of Trump supporters, and what are, it's like you leave one,
If you're walking down, it's best to stick with people,
exactly,
even if you don't even know, just like.
Maybe I do. Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while.
I haven't either. Last I saw her, she was sitting on this hill, and I was talking to her, and then they started coming down the hill. And I said, yeah, they're coming down right now. She's like, shit.
Annette, I'm not actually sure the artist making the video.
It is my fatal place there. I woke up like that. You got this shit. Next, get this shit.
I have not, no.
I want to know what Nick's
All of us that are gonna
We need to start getting folks that aren't arrestable.
25 minutes.
Hey, all the relatives that are going to stay and hold the ground, come to the middle. All the relatives that are staying here to help hold the ground, come to the middle. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Everybody that's going to stay, come to the middle. Come to the choker. I need a legal observer over here. Legal observer at media. A media can be out to the left over there.
Me and Tanya? Huh? Yeah. Joey!
This one?
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, and the boy little rocket. Can I show you so you can tell people? I'm staying too, so. Okay.
Anybody else that's going to stay and help hold the ground? Anybody else that's going to help stay and hold the ground? Come on over here. I need one legal observer.
Hey all, thanks for tuning in. Sorry I've been silent, trying to make sure I'm prepared for what's about to happen, as well as trying to feel things out about what's going on. They're letting some cars leave. They're letting folks leave who want to leave. So some cars are leaving. So the police lines are on the sides right now. There are other people who are planning to stay and risk arrest. They are doing another disruption. They're doing another unlawful assembly announcement. You can visit unicornriot.ninja to see our other coverage of other events like this. You can also click the donate or support tab if you appreciate our media.
No cameras, please. Face that way.
The only way we're able to do this work and have it be sustainable is to get donations. We are a nonprofit. We are commercial free. We have no advertisements. So it's really from folks who appreciate our work is how I'm here right now, how I'm able to do this right now. Also with the back end support, thanks to my fellow collective members who are helping push this out. Yeah, so folks are kind of strategizing about what to do right now as far as for the folks staying here in Keystone, South Dakota still. Been here for over an hour, might even be an hour and a half at this point. So the Trump and Pence speech at Mt Rushmore is definitely getting pushed back. Probably at least 2 hours, because getting everyone up there and having everything cleared off here is going to take some time. There's a lot of reasons why this protest is happening. The first is because Trump and Pence are here to speak. The second is because this land is unceded. We just got a warning that we have 4 minutes to leave the area. And if we do not leave the area in 4 minutes, we will be arrested. That's not specifying if you're on the road, if you're on the side. They're not specifying. So, yeah, this is unceded. Great Sioux Nation territory. 9 tribes are within the Great Sioux Nation. And so, yeah, so it's unceded territory, and therefore folks are trying to highlight that because this land is not owned by the U.S. federal government from the Fort Laramie Treaty of 1868. And the government has continuously broken that treaty, but it's still on the books. It's still a treaty. And I believe it's Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution says that treaties. I'm gonna get this wrong. I apologize. Treaties are the supreme law of the land, something like that. So treaties are supposed to be upheld. Treaties are supposed to be seen as legitimate. However, the U.S. government is not honoring that, has never really honored that. They're saying we have 2 minutes or we will be arrested. Again, not specifying if you're in the road, if you're off the road. They're not specifying where you may need to be to not get arrested. It kind of just seems like you need to be far out in that area. So yeah, More police are showing up, I think.
This small group of people here arrested. It includes Nick Hilton, Indian collector in the city. Initial commitment, basically, they're doing it purposely. Get me off my fucking lawn!
Again, if you appreciate our coverage, you can click the support tab on our website, unicornriot.ninja. We have 1 minute to leave the area.
I'm not sure if I caught this on the video for everyone, but
so I'm just gonna get myself ready for that real quick.
fired on the ground at one point, and then there was some close-range pepper spray at some point, but there was never any gas chemical as was that what police made it seem like. Because they said, well, it's going to get really bad, and they had demands that that never happened. But people did get pepper spray. And again, here's just this real small group of people preparing to get arrested. There's a ballot fund set up ahead of time. They most likely, unless they have warrants,
So
they may
there's a cop van, then 2 SUVs on the right. Cops on either side. So the folks on the left in the camo, actually, I don't believe are National Guard. So sorry about that. I thought they were, but they actually might just be Sioux Falls.
Hey, shooting out the town. I don't think it's going to be
Sioux Falls officers. Sorry, a little distracted trying to keep my eyes peeled. This person is speeding through. So this the sheriff's department doesn't have gas masks on, so I think they're just going to
Face the man. Let's turn this around and face the man that way.
so here they come to arrest people.
Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Stay tight. All right, stay right there. Stay right there. Let's go, up top. Let's go.
You stole this land! You raping the children! You stole this land! You stole this land!
Let's take him back there. Let's take him back, Ray. Let go! Let me get that goal!
Can't find you back, huh?
Woman being arrested.
Give you a little space, but please move back a little bit, okay? Move back, please.
Move it, stolen by Supreme Court ruling! White racist thief! Fuck your Donald Trump! Fuck everybody in this fucking body! Fucking racist fuck! Hey! Hey!
Amazing with all your gear, you guys don't have face masks. It's sort of a pandemic.
I'm immune.